The gentleman from Alabama, Mr. Byrne.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Sharp, I am going to read you a few quotes regarding the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. First quote, without the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, the fundamental religious rights of all Americans to worship as their consciences dictate will remain threatened. Any idea who said that?
I don't.
That was Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler. Second quote, the founders of our nation, the American people today, know that religious freedom is no luxury, but is a basic right of a free people. RFRA restores the First Amendment to its proper place as one of the cornerstones of our democracy. It is simple. It states that the government can infringe on religious practice only if there is a compelling interest and if the restriction is narrowly tailored to further that interest. Any idea who said that?
A person of great wisdom.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. Third quote, after Employment Division versus Smith, more than 50 cases were decided against religious claimants. Amish farmers were forced to affix garish warning signs to their buggies, despite expert testimony that more modest silver reflector tape would be sufficient. Orthodox Jews were subjected to unnecessary autopsies in violation of their family's religious faith, and one Catholic teaching hospital lost its accreditation for refusing to provide abortion services. RFRA is an opportunity to correct these injustices. Any idea who said that?
No, sir.
Majority Leader Steny Hoyer. Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to insert into the record a copy of the House floor proceedings from passage of the Religious Freedom Restoration Act in 1993. You know, I wish my colleagues would actually go back and read the congressional record from 26 years ago.
Without objection.
Thank you, sir. Back then, Republicans and Democrats alike were united in a belief that the fundamental right of the free exercise of religion was worthy of the highest level of judicial protection. Congress did not enact a guaranteed win for people of faith, but restored, as you said, a balancing test. The religious individuals or organizations exercise against the government's compelling interest in restricting that activity. As we've already heard today, the government's winning over 80% of the time. Yet the few wins for people of faith that they've gotten in recent years have really upset the majority. This hearing is titled The Misapplication of the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. But it should be clear to all that RFRA is being applied exactly as it was intended. The difference is not the law. It is in my Democratic colleagues' point of view since 26 years ago. Frankly, this committee should question why we are even considering taking away the rights of citizens to freely practice their faith. This legislation does not live up to the ideals of our great nation's Constitution, and we need to stand up for people of faith who are under attack in America today. There is a fundamental conflict in values in this country, and there is a determined minority, an intolerant minority, that would tell the majority in this country who are people of faith, you cannot exercise your faith because we find it repugnant in some way. Well, that's not what the Constitution is about. That's not the reason this country was founded. This country was founded so we could all freely exercise our religion. It is not a secondary right. This bill, and I have tremendous respect for the sponsor of this bill, in essence, would make everybody's right to freely exercise their religion a secondary thing. Well, to millions, tens of millions of Americans, it is the primary source of their meaning in life. And they would take that away from them. For what? For a handful of cases that have gone the other way, when 80+% have gone the government's way. That's how fundamental the conflict in values in this country has become. And we in this Congress should stand up for the majority of Americans who have Judeo-Christian values and say you can continue to exercise your faith. And we, the government, are not going to take that away from you. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.